But you see, the Sunak bounce, as we will soon hear, is not that great. The fact that there is now a competent person in the Treasury and a competent person as Prime Minister isn't making that much difference. Now, if the Conservatives do not have the public's confidence on running the economy, they're finished.
Yeah, because that's always been the flag waving.
That's right. And it was always people always used to say, well, the Tories are not very nice people, are they? But
at least they know their money.
Their money, yeah.
But it's been said that that the present Chancellor, I'm just trying to remember his name, Jeremy Hunt. Sorry. I mean, it's very difficult sometimes.
Now, you don't remember, the BBC have that problem. It's Hunt.
Hunt, yes. He has apparently been in talks with every living previous Chancellor, I think, going right back at least to George Osborne.
Yes.
Why do you think he's been meeting previous Chancellors?
Oh, I think that's not a bad idea, because there ought to be some esprit de corps between Chancellors, particularly those around for some time. But, of course, that has led to headlines that I don't know whether you've picked up on the paper review, a 23 billion black hole likely to be created by some of those smart property taxes that Osborne put in his time. But look, essentially, what we have to deal with is a public expenditure crisis. And Sunak is not, his hands are not that clean. I mean, I personally, let's be quite clear where I stand. I think he's an infinitely better and more well-qualified Prime Minister than Liz Truss. But when he was first Chancellor, a lot of money was spent on all these various ways of trying to protect people from COVID. And we're talking about many billions, and a lot of those billions were used for fraud. And as a result of all of that, the build-up of the debt has been enormous, and he has got to show that he has learnt something as a result of all of that. Because we can't, there isn't the money to throw around anymore. And maybe they thought once they got through COVID, the pressure would be off. Well, then, of course, they walk straight into the
inevitable debt.
Well,
yeah,
what about the options? We were talking, one of our guests earlier on was saying, time for a bonfire of the Quangos again.
Yes, although there's always, one of the great ways, and opposition is very good at this, the Labour Party's particularly always been spectacularly good at this. You talk about efficiency savings. That's just an evasion, because at the end of the day, there are no efficiency savings. What we have to recognise in this country is the inflation is eroding the power of money. The public expenditure effects of, for instance, increasing all benefits in line with inflation means you're never going to get rid of inflation. But, I can understand why the argument is raised, well, we can't have these people not having a proper compensation. But if you properly compensate everybody out of public money, you run up a huger deficit and you never get rid of inflation. That's the problem.
Rishi Sunak has said, and he made it clear throughout the summer, didn't he, that tackling inflation was his priority.
Yes.
Explain to us again, how do you tackle it? How do you start to bring inflation down? We know interest rates going up are part of that, but why and how does it all work?
Well, I think you've got to drive down public expenditure. And this is where, tough though it may be, if you don't keep on top of, for instance, wage demands, and wage demands are coming in thick and fast all over the place. And if you don't keep on top, look, the number of people in our society who are now, they are not wealth generating. They do not earn money, but they expect to get their automatic uplift paid for by the likes of us. Well, if we continue to subsidise all these benefits at the same rate as prices are going up, it's a simple answer to that. You never get rid of inflation. And, it comes back to, I think it was a favourite phrase of dear old John Major. Maybe we should bring it back. Ta-da! There is no gain without pain.